here we are back on Weekend Joe, driven by Munganass St. Louis Acura, Munganass Alton Toyota here on ClaibsOnline.com as we are just a few days away from Christmas. And hey, for a lot of people, that just means we're getting ready for high school basketball tournaments. So who better than the awesome one, Earl Austin Jr., to jump on with us? And we're going to talk a little high school basketball. First, Earl, I got to ask, Wednesday, you had a courtside seat to that SLU SIUE game. And I mean, we have bragging rights Thursday night. That's kind of its own little bragging rights. It's a little Metro high school division or college Division I matchup between SLU and SIUE. How surprised were you with the Cougars pulling off the win over the Billikens?
Well, I knew the Cougars were a scary team. I've watched them 2 or 3 times already. I mean, they're a very athletic team. They got good players, and some of the players I'm familiar with, like Rayshawn Taylor, I've followed his career throughout Collinsville High School. So I told people, like 3 years ago, we played them in that COVID year. We opened the season with them, and we won by 37. And after the Drake broadcast, when Rammer said, "Look ahead to SIUE," I said, "Yeah, we won by 37. Don't count on this being an easy game. This is going to be a tough game. We're going to have to fight to win this game." I said that on the air at the end of our Drake broadcast. And, 10 minutes ago, we were up 18, but they really started raining those 3-point shots down, and they really picked up their defensive intensity, and momentum just swung, and congratulations to them. Tough loss for us. I mean, that's a stunner, no question, but hats off to the Cougars for one of the biggest victories in their history.
With them being, that campus is 15, 20 minutes away from from SLU's campus. Do you see this now that they're Division I and they have been for a handful of years now? Can this be a new rivalry for SLU?
I mean, I enjoy when we play each other. I mean, I think a couple years back, we had a home and home actually with them when Jim Cruz was coaching, and one of his former players at Evansville, Lennox Forrester, was the head coach there. And we actually went over to SIUE and played, and had a great time, and we won the game. But it was fun because, like I said, it's a good road trip for me. It's 15 minutes from my house, so 20 minutes. So I don't mind playing. Last night's outcome notwithstanding, I enjoy playing local and regional teams. For years, SLU has played SIU Carbondale every year. Got that going again. We've played Missouri State for many, many years. It's been a while since we played them. That used to be an every year thing. SEMO we've played. So, yeah, I enjoy playing local and regional teams because it's just the interest in the area. You saw that. I don't know if you saw the game on TV. There was a lot of black and red in there in that building last night, and they were excited. You could just, even through my headstock, hear them yelling and screaming as that comeback was coming back. So, no, I'm not one of those look down on. I enjoy those games.
One of these years before you and Rammer both hang up the headsets, maybe they'll throw the Tigers on the schedule too. Maybe that Billikens Tigers game will happen at some point.
Sure, it'll be fun. We played them 2000, 2001, and 2002, and it was 3 games went right down to the wire, and it was a lot of fun. And that's been 20 years since, but if that were to come to pass, that would be fun as well.
All right, you mentioned Rayvon Taylor, so we're going to start in Collinsville. We're going to start there with that. Earl, I have done my research. I have all the brackets printed out for all the top area tournaments here. It's holiday. I mean, really, when you are a high school basketball coach, a high school basketball player, I mean, you play this first month of the season to get that seeding for your holiday tournament. You have that on the schedule. You know what teams are going to be there, and it's always fun because some of these tournaments, they're bringing in teams from outside of the area, and in some cases you're getting to see some top talent not only in the area but in the country. I mean, you're getting Division I athletes. I remember so when I went to Alton, we played in the Centralia tournament every year back then, and we got to go there, and I got to sit there and watch Sean Dockery play back in the day. That was a lot of fun to see a kid that you knew was going to Duke next year, and that's what a lot of these teams and a lot of these fans are going to get to see this weekend.
Let me tell you a story about Centralia. When I went, it was 1994, I believe, and we went. A buddy of mine went to the championship game. It was Centralia, the host team, was playing Mount Carmel out of Chicago,
Yep.
which featured Antoine Walker.
Was that Donovan McNabb?
And Donovan McNabb. It was an incredible atmosphere, let me tell you. It was unbelievable. And Centralia came back and tied it with about 3 minutes left, and Mount Carmel pulled it off. But yeah, it's that was an old Trout gym too, so it was just that history there. Yeah, it's you get a chance to see. Collinsville's brought in teams from outside. You get a chance to see some great talent and great holiday tournament atmosphere as well.
Well, let's go through this. And Earl, if you want to replug in your microphone a little bit, it was getting a little, it sounded a little drowning there.
How's that sound now?
A little better, but still just, yeah.
Sometimes I have to take my, let me, can you hear me?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes when my headsets are on, my sound goes off now. How's that sound?
That's good. Yeah, we can make that work. Yeah, we can work with that. So Centralia, I mean, obviously, as you look through this bracket, one thing is it's a lot of Southwestern Conference teams in this Collinsville tournament this year. I know locally Belleville East is going to go into this undefeated, and I would imagine the favorites. But as we talk about teams from outside of the area, I know there's a Collierville, Tennessee team that's in there on the opposite end of the bracket from Belleville East, and also a bit away in the bracket from Collinsville too, to where they're not going to see them that first or second day. So what are some of the things you're hearing about some of the teams, or what are some of the things you've seen from some of the teams in this Collinsville tournament?
A little bit more limited on Illinois this year because I'm a work for Prep Boost, Missouri, but obviously Collinsville is going to be very good. I love the Weisinger kid as a good guard, and this is the team that's beaten East St. Louis already. This season, Eastside is probably the most talented. Them and Vashon probably the most talented teams in the St. Louis metro area, and I think you say Belleville East is very good. Javon gets a younger brother, is a scorer. He's a bucket as well. Quincy, Illinois, which has been a frequent visitor to the Collinsville tournament, should be good. They got some real good young players as well. And of course, a couple teams from St. Louis make their way over this year, McClure North and Oakville. Solid teams as well. So I think it's, Decatur, MacArthur always comes through. So I think it's going to be a very competitive tournament. Don't know much about the team from Tennessee, but I look at, Quincy, Collinsville, Belleville East, looking pretty strong in this deal.
Yeah, I am. I talk a lot with one of the assistant coaches of the Belleville East team, and I know that that was the team that they were kind of looking at. They've already beaten a few. I mean, they're 11-0, 12-0 on the year going into this tournament. So I know that was one of the teams that they were looking at, and they did know that Collinsville was going to be one of the top teams that they were going to have to face too. But I do know, like they had said, looking at what they might have to face in that second day, because Lincoln's coming down from Central Illinois, so having to go Lincoln and then probably MacArthur on those on that for that game 10 and game 14 on that Thursday. They know they got a hard road ahead of them.
Right, and of course the best part about Collinsville, other than the basketball, is the hospitality room.
I will, Earl. Yeah, I know you will never have a chance to make it up to this tournament, but there is the Macomb Western Holiday Tournament up in Macomb, Illinois.
Macomb, okay.
Yeah, so that is where my radio career started, up in Macomb. I went to Western Illinois and then went to got a job in Macomb right after that. And the first 2 years would do radio for many of the high school games there. So it was at Western Hall, and you did that. Stan Prentice was the name of the athletic director up in Macomb. And I will tell you, he went around to every restaurant, fast food restaurant and regular restaurant in all of Macomb, and he had every single one of them make a donation to the hospitality room for those 3 days of that tournament. Wow. And yeah, I mean, you'd put on a good 10 pounds in the hospitality room during those 3 days, just going around and just picking and choosing for whatever you wanted, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have never seen a hospitality room at the pro level even match what Stan Prentice was able to do at that Macomb Western Holiday Tournament.
Now, I know we're straying off the topic here. I'll give you the Lutheran South used to host the Christmas tournament back in the day, and it didn't matter how good the teams were. The hospitality room probably was the best I've ever experienced because it was literally the home economics department ran the hospitality department, so everything was cooked right there in the classroom. Students, teachers,
Oh,
and we're talking like everything from your appetizers, your main course, your desserts, your salads, anything and everything. And it was like going to a freaking restaurant I've ever experienced, And Jesus, it was, look, see, referees, they would talk about it. It didn't matter if the team. I mean, I'd go there. The teams were terrible. I was like, "Why are you going a little bit south?" If you know, you know. But this was back in the day, So yeah, I rate hospitality rooms, and everybody does a great job. But I just have that just adds to the tournament experience.
This the Collinsville tournament. It starts Wednesday, December 28th. Games tip off that day at 10 a.m. at Collinsville High School, and then the games, second round games played on Thursday, and third round games played on Thursday, and then all of the finals, the championships for all of the different brackets, that is played on the 30th of December. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for that one. Another tournament that we have to talk about. This is the Coaches versus Cancer Holiday Tournament, Earl, and leading into that, it's DeSmet, the number 1 overall seed in this one.
Yeah, this year the tournament will be held at Maryville University, and it's a well-run tournament. DeSmet is the number 1 seed. You have a very good team from Mid-Missouri. Columbia Hickman is the 2 seed. Parkway West, with a young man named Tyler King, they have the 3 seed. And Troy with the 4 seed. Very competitive tournament, though, because you look at some of the lower seeds, like Webster Groves is a 5 seed. They've started slow, but they got their best point guard back. They could be a factor. Vianney, which has a high-scoring offense led by Luke Walsh, a sophomore. He's the son of head coach Kevin Walsh. They're a 7 seed, but a dangerous team as well. So you can always have, Westminster's got Kobe Williams. They're an 8 seed. Eureka, very well coached team, is a 12 seed. So you're going to have some, you'll have some very competitive early round games. And obviously, as you get into the later rounds, you'll see some pretty good basketball. But DeSmet has been playing very good basketball. They're led by Justin Duff, 6'3" senior. He's averaging about 25 a game. He's already led them to a championship in Springfield Arvest Classic with some good teams in it. So Coaches versus Cancer should be a very good team. Webster Groves won it last year in overtime over DeSmet, and it was an instant classic type of game.
And they got a school coming all the way from Memphis with this one. Is that as I'm seeing here?
Yeah, they play University City, I believe, in the first round. They're a 6 seed, and U City is an 11 seed, so that'll be interesting to see. Every now and then you'll get a team like, say, Hickman came in a few years back. Springfield Kickapoo came down, but I think this might be one of the first out-of-state teams, from coming some distance. So that'll be interesting to see them, what they have to offer.
If you find the bracket for this one online, make sure you do pay attention to the start times on this. A lot of times the brackets will just go straight down, straight from the first tip-off all the way to the last one, but this one does jump around a little bit. This is actually a bracket set up similar to what you'd see in like the NCAA tournament, to where they put 1 versus 16 as the first one and down. So this tournament starts off on Monday, December 27th. That'll be and that's Monday, December 27th. That's actually.
I think they had it wrong. I think it's going to be Monday's the 26th.
Okay, I was going to say those two didn't match up, so right, I wanted to make sure. So it is on Monday.
I believe it's Monday the 26th.
Okay, so that starts on Monday, 9 a.m. tip-off for the first game of that, and that is the Webster Groves Eureka game, that followed by the Troy Buchanan and Lafayette game in that one. If you want to see the number 1 seeded DeSmet team, they play at 4:30 on that Monday, and then games go on the 28th with and then on the 29th for those championship rounds for that one. One Earl, the next one on the list, the MICDS Holiday Tournament. This one is actually starts off on Friday
Yeah,
of
well,
this week. Weather pending on this one.
yeah. The latest I've heard is that I believe they're going to move it to Monday because of the weather. So, like I said, it usually starts off the one tournament, boys tournament, that starts off before Christmas. But I believe because of the weather, they're going to start on the Monday, the 26th, as well with the 8 boys games, and it's a girls tournament as well. But I think they're just going to push everything back a day and go till Friday. Yeah, MICDS, this is a 16-team tournament as well. Um, MICDS, the host school and defending champion. They got the 1 seed. Good team. Ladue, Kirkwood, and Francis Howell follows. But there's some good talent. Whitfield is a 6 seed. They got a nice team. St. Charles, I believe, only has 1 loss, if any. They're a 7 seed. Edwardsville comes over from the Hillside. They're a 5 seed. So it should be another very competitive tournament. The other nice feature about this tournament is that on semifinal night, they have it's one of the sponsors St. Louis Special Olympics is part of this, and each year in between the first semifinal and the second semifinal game, they have a Special Olympics basketball game. They come out and play, and all 4 teams who are left, even the 2 teams that just played, everybody sits around the court, and these young people put on a show. And the crowd really loves it. The kids watch the games and love it, and that's just always been a special feature of the MICDS tournament, as well as the good basketball is being played.
So if St. Charles only has 1 loss on the year, how are they drawn a 7 seed in this? How do they do the seeding for this
I think they
MICDS tournament?
I think they seeded it kind of late last week. Like you said, it's just you look at some of the teams. Whitfield is a team that's probably I think that's got 1 or 2 losses, but they've got to the championship game of the Webster tournament. Ladue is a very good basketball team with some big victories. I don't sit in on seeding meetings, so sometimes there's no rhyme or reason about what who's seeded and where. But you see it at all tournaments. You'll see some teams that their seeding number pops out like whoa, But then sometimes it shows the quality of the tournament too because it's a lot of good teams in it as well.
The one thing that pops out at me is MICDS. I mean, they're the host team, and they're getting that 9 a.m. tip off on day one of the tournament. Usually, you put them in prime time for that,
Right, but I think as you
making your
go,
boys wake up early in the morning.
yeah, we gotta show some discipline. Get up, But like you said, I guess because like you said, they go all the way down the line through the seeds and everything, and they got a good team too. They got Marcus Coleman, good player, good guard. Jaden Banks, good guard as well. But yep, they have to get up early in the morning and be ready to play.
Edwardsville, the only as I'm seeing on it, the only Illinois team on that's coming over in this tournament. We mentioned all the Southwestern Conference teams over in the Collinsville side, and then Edwardsville making their way over to the MICDS tournament for this year. Earl, over on the girls' side of things, we are going to start off with what's the first one on this list. Is it the Westminster?
No
No,
visitation.
visitation tournament, which is actually already gotten underway. They kind of spread this out. They have their first round games, then they come back a week later for those second round games.
Yeah, they always play that Saturday before, the 17th this year, and then they wait till after Christmas, then they resume it. Well, they always have 8 games. I went to a couple of them last week. Excuse me, tucked my head in and watched a few games. But this is that they're in the quarterfinal rounds, and obviously the highlight team in this one is Incarnate Word Academy. They're #1 in the country and #1 in St. Louis. They're on a 74 game winning streak now.
That's all, yeah.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, no, they'll play Cardinal Ritter, I believe, in the second round on Monday, and then it'll be Pattonville against Civic Memorial in the quarterfinals in the 4-5 game. John Burroughs is a 2 seed. They'll play against Parkway South, and then Eureka will play the host Visitation in the quarterfinals, and then the following Tuesday, the day I'll attend, will be the semifinal night, and then championship night will be Wednesday at Visitation. Probably the best girls tournament in the state of Missouri, although the pink and white in Springfield is very good as well. But this year in and year out, Carnet was a state champion last year. John Burroughs was a state champion last year, and you got other high quality teams who will be competing. Pattonville's very good. It's a big time tournament.
Is there you mentioned the 70+ game winning streak for Incarnate Word? Is there a team in this tournament on that winner side of the bracket that you see that could possibly knock off that win streak?
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I mean, Cardinal Ritter's got a good team. They got good size, good athletes. Pattonville Civic Memorial, very good. John Burroughs is very good. But you're going to have to really play your best game and probably Incarnate play a C- type of game. And you never know in those type, it's a tournament situation. The Cardinals had some close calls in this tournament last year. Westminster, I believe, was came down to a charge call late in the game. So, Dan will have those girls ready to play, and he'll remind them. And then there was some classic Edwardsville Incarnate Word games. A few years back, and when Lori and Dan went at it, great games. But yeah, they're a solid favorite. It would be a big feather in the cap of any team if they were to take it down this year.
As we mentioned, those first games already were last Saturday. Monday is when we will see that tournament resume with the losers bracket side. They tip off in the afternoon, and then the winners bracket side it tips off later on in the evening, and then games on Tuesday, and so games on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week for that tournament. And finally, Earl, the last one over here, just down the road from me, and these are I'm probably going to go to at least one of these games next week. It's the Mascoutah Girls Invitational Tournament at Mascoutah High School, and the reason that I'll be going is because my alma mater, Alton High, the Alton Redbirds, that girls team is putting on a show so far this year. 11-0 to start the year. I don't believe they have any seniors on that team either, as they come in as the number one seed in this tournament. And it is a nice little mix of Illinois and Missouri schools here in the 16-team tournament.
It's going to be a heck of a tournament, and especially as it gets into barring upsets, you're looking at possibly an Alton versus Oakville, the showdown. And then, Vashon has joined the tournament this year. Vashon is a tremendous team. They got 3 Division I players, Rachel Jones, Janala Bush, and Trantrell Tutu Clayton coming through. And then in their bracket is O'Fallon, who's got D1 talent as well. Delia Pelly, as well as I forget the young lady. She's going to Illinois State. Shannon Dow, great player as well. And like I said, Alton's got pups, but talent, very big talent. That's going to be a lot of fun. Mater Dei is always good too, as well. Freeburg, Nashville, yeah, that's top tournament on the Illinois side of the river.
Have you seen the girls, the Alton girls play yet this year?
Have not seen them. I know they've had a couple of big wins. I know they beat, obviously they beat O'Fallon already. They beat Lutheran St. Charles.
They beat Edwardsville for the first time in 20-some years.
Yeah. So them and O'Fallon are threats to, they're state level teams. They're state level teams. They both won 25 or so games last year and returned the bulk of their teams. The little point guard Kyoko Proctor is excellent. Alyssa Lewis is a excellent 2 guard as well. And they just got a lot of good players. But they play fast, and but they play beyond their years. They played a lot on the AU circuit when they're young, so they came in ready to play as freshmen last year and sophomores.
So that tournament starts on Tuesday with the games continuing on Wednesday and Thursday into the next the week. So the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th. Another nice little wrinkle I always like about these holiday tournaments, Earl, is the importance of staying in that winner's bracket, not only to win the tournament, but it keeps you out of those auxiliary gyms, and it keeps you out of those smaller gyms that you have to play in. Your years of going to these high school tournaments, what is one of the I guess the lesser auxiliary gyms that you've seen a high school basketball game have to take place in?
It's tough to go to that C gym. I think, like I say, I know Collinsville usually you got to go to the other gym, which is a pretty nice gym. You go to as well. I guess does Muscuda have one? I guess the new building. I'm not sure. I've been to. I've been to the.
Yeah, you have to go to the auxiliary gym for if you're in the losers
Yeah,
bracket on that side. Yeah.
I realize that. Yeah. So yeah, you wanna keep winning. Like I said, you want to be on center stage. Absolutely.
Any other ones that we didn't mention here that any area teams are going and playing in? Just to give a mention to.
St. Dominic over in O'Fallon, Missouri has a good tournament every year. The host team, the Crusaders. Sykeston always comes in from Southeast Missouri. They have an excellent team. And then on the girls' side, Lutheran St. Charles would probably be the top seed in that tournament. And MICDS has a girls' tournament as well. Well, MICDS probably, I think, is the top seed in the girls' division. SLU hosts a good Legends of Winter tournament. St. Louis U High and John Burroughs will probably be the top seeds in that one as well. Now, like I said, we talked about Central. I don't know the bracket in front of me. That's always, it has it's always had some good Metro representation going there, and it was always cool to go whenever I had a chance to travel. And then Brees Mater Dei has a real good tournament with a lot of the small schools in Southern Illinois, but they got an interesting newcomer to that tournament, the Mater Dei tournament. CBC, I believe, is in that tournament this year. So everybody get a chance to see CBC, and I guess Columbia Freeburg always, on the Illinois side, a lot of good small schools in that tournament as well.
As we wrap up, yeah, we were talking earlier on about some of the other tournaments or some of the other ones around the areas. I also went and did games back in the day. There's one up in Bloomington Normal, the State Farm Holiday Tournament up there. We talk about auxiliary gyms and going and playing there. That tournament, they do large school, small school, boys and girls, 16 teams in each. So you have 64 teams that you are putting together in a tournament. And there's a lot of high schools, there's the college, there's a lot of places up there, but that's a lot of gyms that they fill up for those games up there in that tournament. When you're talking 64 team tournament, 4 different brackets for that one.
And from a historical perspective, probably the most fun tournament. I think they still have like a small round robin, but if you want to see a great venue, Normandy High School in St. Louis on the north side, probably the best high school basketball venue that area is going still. Now, the Normandy tournament through the 60s, 70s, and 80s was the tournament in St. Louis. And like you say, they used to have a 232 team divisions, the green division and the red division, and it had everybody in it. So, and like I said, it's pretty much been scaled down, and it's more of a round robin. But the building, the old Viking Hall, is one of the great basketball venues to visit in this metro area.
Earl, I know you mentioned it a few times throughout the past half hour that we've been talking, but which tournaments, which games do you think you're going to be? Can people plan to maybe see you out at next week?
I think I have to restructure a little bit because I was going to go to MICDS tomorrow. I'll probably be at MICDS on Monday, probably visitation on Tuesday. I will be at the visitation semifinal days, the consolation semifinal days. I plan on being at Maryville one day as well. Hopefully get to Collinsville, and then working for Prep Hoops Missouri. I'm keeping track on a bunch of tournaments around the state, Kansas City, Springfield. There's some big tournaments going on, which I'll be tracking as well. And then on the 30th, me and Rammer will be getting on a plane to Philadelphia, so I'll miss a lot of the championship games. I'll be watching them online, and because we play on St. Joe's on New Year's Eve.
Well, you can follow Earl Austin Jr. on Twitter at Earl Austin Jr. And you'll see all of his updates all week long next week as he's bouncing around from tournaments to tournaments before he heads back to his SLU Billiken duties next week. Earl, great catching up with you, and always fun talking high school sports with you.
Joe, it's my pleasure. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, okay?
Merry Christmas to you as well. That's Earl Austin Jr. right here on ClaibsOnline.com.